carbon electrodes. On this one, again, red is a channel, black is a channel. Goes against red-black that we learned. Done. Red, black. And you can kind of see that because it's got 2 red together and 2 black together. So it kind of shows them on the digital and on the visual display here. Now the one bad thing is you really want all 4 of your pads to be the same size for interferential. And we used to have 4 of these, but it came unsoldered. One of them came unsoldered and I can't get a replacement electrode. So we had small ones as well. We don't have 4 small ones. We had 2 small ones. So we have to use 2 small and 2 big. Just make sure these are one channel and this is the other channel. And you're okay. I mean, it would be ideal to have 4 of this, but we haven't been able to replace that electrode. These have little pocket sponges that go with them. So you just wet those, smaller ones. We had 2 small ones. Look around. Smaller ones for this, bigger ones for these. Gauze for hygiene again, and then you'll have to strap them on. Or if it's on a flat spot, good. Like they're laying prone and it's on their back, then use a cuff weight or their bra strap or their underwear, or something to hold it in place. But these won't stick, so you need something to get good contact and hold these in place. So this wouldn't be my preferred unit for something like the frozen shoulder or piriformis because it's just a little more awkward. It's great for a back or a neck or a knee or something where it's easy. Put a weight on it. Put a cuff weight on it. Okay, they're coated so that the electricity's not going to go through. I wouldn't use like a sandbag or a hot pack or something that would conduct the electricity, but something that's just going to keep it in place.
What's this one called?
This is the estem9. Okay. We turn on off here. This one does medium frequency, interferential, and it has the bipolar option as well. To tell the unit that we were doing interferential and therefore do 1 at 1 frequency, 1 at the frequency plus the beat, we put it on 4 kilohertz. If we put it on 2, it tells the machine we're doing Russian. We're doing interferential, so put it on 4 kilohertz here, and then everything is set up for that. Okay? These first 2 knobs will set your beat frequency. And it allows you to either do a value or a range of rate. If I want a value, I put the second knob on 0, and then whatever I have my first knob on becomes my beat frequency. Because it's the first knob plus or minus the second. So if we have this on 0, we're just at a value. If I want a range, I don't put this knob on the bottom and this knob on the top of the range. It's this knob plus and minus this knob. So let's say I wanted 80 to 120. I wanted a high rate range. Don't color out, think about it for a second. 80 to 120. I need to put my first knob somewhere there in the middle with a second knob on a value that if I subtract and add it, I get that range. Okay? So just think about it. When everybody thinks they've got an idea, then we'll identify. Everybody got an idea? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, Watson.
Sorry, huh? What?
That's fine. What would you put the first number on?
100.
Second number on?
20.
There you go. Anybody lost on that? Okay. If I wanted 1 to 20, I wanted a low rate range. First knob on?
20.
10. Second knob on? 10. 10 minus 10, 10 plus 10. Okay? First knob plus or minus the second. If I don't want a range, I just want a value, put the second knob on 0. Okay? If the second knob is on 0, and I'm just choosing a value, not a range, this knob doesn't mean anything. Because this knob is like the sweep time on the other units of how it's going to change from one rate to the other rate. So if I'm not changing, I don't need this knob. But if I'm changing, then I use this knob to show how. Pictorially, this is better than the knobs that are on there. So let me find a picture in here that describes it, or shows it best. Okay. There are 3 choices here. It says 1, 1. Then it has 6, 6. And then it has 6, 6. And more sloping. Okay? This is 1, 1. On 1, 1, it's going to be 1 second at your low rate, the low end of your rate. Then it immediately changes to the high end of your rate and stays there for a second. So every second it's changing. Rate. So if I had it 8, this shows 80 to 150, no, 50 to 150. I don't know that I want that far. But it stays at 50 pulses per second for a second, then changes to 150. Stays there for a second, changes. 1 second at 50. Quick changes. Quick changes, a little more irritating to the tissue, so that's for chronic. Okay? The far side, this 6, 6, 6, sloping 6, is this picture here. It takes 6 seconds to change from one rate to the other and then gradually changes back. Never plateaus. Just every 6 seconds it's changing from the low end of your rate to the high end of your rate. So for more acute, it's very gentle changes, not as irritating to the tissues. The patient, and I challenge you to feel any difference between the two, but to the tissues it feels a little different. So that would be more for your acute. Here's where your subacute comes in, Dave. We have one in the middle. That's 6 and kind of a vertical line in 6. That's this one here. It changes over a second from low to high end, stays there for 6 seconds, and then changes over a second, stays there. So quick changes, but then stays there. Quick change, stays there. Quick change, stays there. That would be more for your subacute person, if you're ranging the rate.
Are people always going to be accommodating with interferential, so you always have to change it and not just...
You know, I hate the word always, but I find most people accommodate whether you use a value or a rate.
So it's just highly recommended to...
As long as you're not ranging so much that you're doing two different things. Like, I mean, I could conceivably range this 100 points, 100 pulses. Is there a reason to change that much? You know, no. Most of the time you're going to change 10 or 20 pulses per second on either side of a value. Because I don't want to range from 10 to 100. I'm doing low and middle and high rate. But I tend to use more. And most of your machines default to a range. It's not going to hurt anything, and it might help to not accommodate. But you're not wrong to do a value. Okay? All right, so those are your knobs for your beat frequency with or without a range. This knob lets you select your electrode placement, and it has 4 options there. The one to the farthest left that's attached with a line down to the bottom, these are your knobs and buttons for medium frequency. So that's your medium frequency electrode setup. Don't choose it. The next one is just one channel, both red pads. That's the bipolar option. If you're using this for low volt, use that. Okay? The next 2 then are your interferential. They're both quadrupolar, 4 pads, 2 channels. This one is just straight quadrupolar without any scan, and see how this one has the little arrows? That's your scan. This machine is all or none. None or 100%. Doesn't let you choose another percentage. I think on your pictures too, if I remember from previous years, they've got those buttons mislabeled. So be careful on that if you're looking at the pictures that are on there. It's the one with the arrows is scanning. The one that doesn't have it is static. All right? So you choose that based on what you're treating. Then this is your balance between red and black. Start in the middle. Adjust if you need to. And then this will be your intensity. So you get the patient all set up. Your timer will activate the unit once you turn it on. This will set your timer, displayed here. As soon as you set the time, it's going. You know, whether or not it's putting out any intensity will depend on that knob. It goes up, I think, in 1 minute increments. It goes down in half. Okay? So once you get that going, you have to turn your knob all the way down before you start back up again, or it won't register. Make sure you do that. And then you'll turn up and you'll just have one display of intensity here for both channels. You can modify with your balance if you need to, but you'll read it here. Now, if you are scanning or ranging, it's going to be changing. Whatever's the highest is your intensity that you're going for.
If it's changing, if it's scanning,
change it from scan to static after it's on? Like, if you wanna start at static, find your intensity, and then could you change it to scan, that way it would?
I don't think it'll keep your intensity. You can change, but a light will come on here and it'll say you've got to redo that. Yeah.
So you just
Now, if you make a mental note of it and you know what it is, then, but you'd have to turn it down, turn it back up. I don't think it'll let you go in between those two. But that's not a quick, you don't have to change anything around, just turn it back down, turn it back up.
Right.
Anything else? Okay, so you've got kind of